Welcome to the Show Me the Data podcast by LeadSift, where every week we get marketing and sales leaders from fast-growing B2B tech companies to share specific tactics they use to drive revenue for their business. The best part, they share the exact metrics and data points behind each of their tactics. I'm your host, Tukan, the co-founder and CEO of LeadSift. See you there. Hello, everyone. This is Tukan from LeadSift here, and my guest today for the show is Lauren McCormack. Lauren's the Director of Demand Generation at Snaplogic. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So I guess quickly, Lauren, if you want to give the audience a quick overview of what Snaplogic does, that'll be great.
Sure. Snaplogic is an integration platform as a service. We allow you to integrate large amounts of data, large amounts of applications across the business without the support of IT, without needing a ton of code to make things connect and sing and deliver value to your business. We unleash the power of your data for the citizen developer in every aspect and in every way. We make things work together. I guess.
Amazing. Yeah. So I guess as the director of demand generation, Lauren, what are some of the key roles that you have at Snaplogic?
Sure. Yeah. At the end of the day, keeping everybody employed, making sure we're facilitating sustainable growth and no pressure, right? Just carrying that top level revenue as your guiding light, as your North Star, and ensuring lead quality, lead quantity, and actionability, right? Not making sure at the end of the day that we're generating a bunch of noise in areas that aren't productive for the business, but really targeting and focusing in alignment with sales and their priorities to get the right conversations with the right people at the right time.
That is great. So now, and you, how long have you been with Snaplogic? Lauren?
Since May. And for people
5 months.
watching in the future, it's almost October now where we're standing.
That is correct. Cool. So now I know the main topic for today's discussion is about a super successful campaign that you ran at your previous job at Neo4j, where it seems like you guys drove over 40,000 net new leads for this series of virtual events that you did. That's what we are going to talk about. So can you high level tell us what the virtual event series was? What was it called? What was the theme of the event?
Sure. Looking back into everybody's favorite historical year, 2020, in recent memory, we were at the beginning of 2020. As a company, our marketing team internationally got together at the Marriott Marquis at the end of 2019 in Times Square in New York. And we were doing an on-site research visit and also a departmental kind of planning session for what we were going to do in 2020. And I remember sitting at a boardroom table and thinking to myself, geez, in 2020, virtual events sure are going to be critical. I had no idea that those thoughts were kind of a vision of the future to come for the rest of the world, And so we had planned for some up-leveling and some increase in scale and volume around digital events to begin with. But lo and behold, as we said in the Marriott Marquis, we could hardly realize that this big event, the in-person event that we were planning for in Times Square that was going to take place, in the middle of spring of 2020, that we really didn't need to be at the Marriott Marquis to look at anything at the end of 2019. We were caught in a world in about February, March 2020, where it wasn't quite so clear whether or not everything needed to be canceled. It was, I think, a lot of bargaining with yourself around, oh, this will only last for a week or two, or, COVID isn't going to change the game for much longer than a month or two. So we can just delay, we can postpone these in-person events that we had planned. And we were looking at having a few thousand people come to Times Square for an annual conference. But at some point in February, the writing was on the wall that we were at least going to have to say that it was postponed. As we postponed it further and further out, the longer that it became apparent that COVID was here to stay with us for an extended amount of time, the more we realized virtual is everything in this moment. Our entire sales staff was grounded. Our entire company was grounded, right? And we needed a way to reach out to express that we cared about our open source community, to demonstrate value to people that were end users or customers or prospects that were facing job uncertainty. The whole company felt uncertain. You know, our CEO was candid when he would speak to the all hands meetings. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, there are no guarantees here. So as a marketing department, especially as a demand gen division of the marketing department, you know, me and my direct reports and a couple of my colleagues in marketing ops and a couple of my international colleagues got to chatting. How can we do our very best to make digital carry the company? To ensure that nobody gets laid off, to ensure that nobody has an increased level of uncertainty, of uncomfortability, of hardship in these uncertain times. What can we do to generate revenue to protect our people, not just the brand, but our people from the horrific effects of COVID and its economic impact, right? And so we set out to make a virtual event series. We thought it was going to be a stopgap solution. We thought this is going to be something big and splashy that we do to take the place of our in-person event in Times Square. Our leadership team was ambitious, overly ambitious in some estimations, around wanting to do it monthly. And we're like, we're never going to get the audience. We're never going to have a serial viewership that will carry over from event to event. How could we potentially, you know, continue to grow something that's happening so regularly was kind of the question and the challenge. But we looked at the topics and we looked at the lineup of speakers that we were able to coordinate, that my wonderful colleague Greta, who's just amazing, was able to put together a list of logos of people ready, willing, and able to speak out on behalf of our brand, not only for a testimonial, but almost for the opportunity to inspire other people, other data architects, other data scientists, other developers, other corporations to see the value of connected data. And you know, as we started digging into building these agendas, and as you know, time unfolded in 2020, we realized graph databases are at the heart of supply chain, are at the heart of contact tracing, are at the heart of vaccine research, are at the heart of patient journey conversations and outcomes, like determining treatment plans. So, you know, we started off with companies and logos like, you know, Chan Zuckerberg and AstraZeneca and Novartis. And then before we knew it, we were talking supply chain and kind of the penultimate experience, right? The one that you tell your kids and your parents about. Got to talk to NASA, right? About how we managed to expedite the mission to Mars by a couple of years by looking at connected data and looking at, commonalities and why space missions would fail, probably saved lives, you know, across.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it became much more meaningful than just a virtual event series with prospects and customers. It became almost like we kind of looked at ourselves like a PBS, like we were curating high quality content for people that wanted an education around what graph databases were and what they could do to improve the world for our kids, for in the moment, in real time, what we could do in a tangible way in our communities, and in pushing forward innovation in the face of an unprecedented crisis. So
that is certainly a higher mission. Yeah, definitely. Sure. Yeah, that's amazing. So now, so once you guys figured out the theme of the of this virtual event series. I believe it was called Connections. It's a
That's
great
correct.
name for a graph
Yeah.
database.
My friend
And-
Michael named
yeah,
that. Yeah.
that's awesome. So now let's talk about, from a marketing demand gen perspective. We talked about in 2020 alone, you drove 40,000 net new leads, or people attending, registering for this. What were the different tactics you used to drive leads or registrants for this event?
That's a great question. And we didn't hang our hat in just one place.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that email fatigue, just general workplace fatigue, with the stress of virtual school for kids on top of working from home for a whole lot of people that weren't accustomed to the notion of doing so, to even just the stressors of how am I going to take care of my older family? How am I going to procure, just food and things of that nature? Everything became incrementally more stressful. And checking your email inbox was included, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Our first volley, of course, was always 2 or 3 email touches to promote to our open source database, which, is amazing. We get hundreds of registrations with each email touch, but we quickly noticed, diminishing returns as 2020, Zoom
Mm-hmm.
fatigue, all those things kind of set in.
Yeah.
And it became apparent to me as I analyzed, just my own behavior. I'm waking up in the morning, getting ready for, maybe a 7 a.m. call with somebody in EMEA. And the fastest I could go through my inbox and delete all the solicitations, anybody I didn't know, anybody that wasn't my boss, anybody that I didn't have to follow up with, the better, the faster, the better, right? So, my own behavior was just to swipe and delete and get that inbox as clean and as crisp as possible. I didn't have time to listen to value propositions or bullet points or, $25 gift cards and exchanges for, demos. There just wasn't time for that with everything else that needed to be accomplished. So I thought to myself, where am I going where I'm more receptive to messages, to invitations specifically? And it's social media. What was kind of the shelter in the storm, right? You go to your Instagram feed, you go to LinkedIn, you go to Facebook, you'd see people posting pictures of their kids, right? Or your brain could kind of relax. And this was kind of transformative for me when I realized, people are going to be more comfortable to accepting an invitation after hours or on the weekend. Right. So we started kind of playing with how we were perceiving the difference between an invitation in email and an invitation in social media. And when I say social media, I don't mean, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I'm more thinking of Clearbit, right? And how Clearbit could take a list of email addresses. So say we invited a cohort of people via email. We can take those business email addresses, upload them into Clearbit, and Clearbit provides likely matches for their social media profiles. And this is kind of early in the days of this feature functionality. It almost seemed like some kind of secret magic, right? We're like, how did you do that, right? And it was before like a lot of tech or B2B was even actively thinking about having a presence in your social media feed. So we were kind of one of the early adopters, and we were able to go in front of the same people that we emailed and reinforce that message with something fun. And, it's not so much even about the techniques that we used as far as posting the event on our site or directing newsletters or talking about it in the community or all the good things in paid search and social organic, posts, all those wonderful things, press releases, blogs. We did it all. But at the end of the day, looking at how we could rethink that messaging instead of assuming that our audience would just pick us up on any channel and listen, we started thinking about where we could carve through the stress and the noise to really be a welcome and well-received Messenger instead of some sort of source of spam to be overlooked. And we really found that a lot in paid search and social with Clearbit.
So if I understand that correctly, Lauren, you were basically reaching out to your existing database from the open source community through email nurture, but at the same time, you were also uploading that audience into paid social, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, using Clearbit and reaching out to them via paid social, driving them to register for the event. The same audience.
We figured, well, we did Clearbit audiences to reinforce our messaging for the people that we were inviting via email, but we were also, as a department, tasked with finding net new enterprise leads. It had to be billion plus in our core countries. And, that's a finite universe, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at companies of that stature and size. So that was another KPI that we were held to. So while we were actively trying to engage people that had opted in and were part of our invitation and our webinar program, in the database existing, another extra layer of fun was that we had to go and source net new leads as well. So, then we would look at the target account lists, or we would dial in audiences, lookalike audiences. But we were definitely not just cultivating existing, but the goal numbers that we were tasked to accomplish were huge stretch goals that were set long before the pandemic was even
understood.
So there were definitely existing people in our database being marketed to, but we were pulling in and netting net new leads like crazy. And I believe, the 40,000 figure that you listed, that was net new enterprise leads.
Wow.
Course of 2020.
Wow. And when you say 40,000 net new, these are from people at companies that are over $1 billion plus?
Well, to qualify, we did have one event, a community event that we held in July, where the whole spirit and notion of inclusivity extended well beyond just the enterprise.
Understood.
Especially since there was like a product-led growth initiative around, a SaaS version of Neo that was meant to be available to everyone, right? Not just the Fortune 5. So we definitely, I think for that event, opened up the requirements around revenue and geography. I think we got 13,000 registered.
Just for that event.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Incredible.
It blew up the event platform right after the keynote. Kind of like the virtual equivalent of when everybody goes to the elevator at a convention in a hotel and no one can get to their first session on time because everybody needs the elevator. It was kind of the equivalent of that. We had such a big turnout.
Interesting. There was one thing that you mentioned in before when we chatted, and you guys use this new targeting criteria or a new product from Google called Google Performance Max to drive some of those registrants. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It's more of a campaign type than anything else. And we were given beta access by our agency and their relationship with Google. They were able to secure us early access to a feature. And, I'm down to innovate. I'm down to test new things. Little did I realize that this was going to generate millions of views of video in our YouTube channel over the course of a month. We had I think 2 or 3 million views. It's got to be much even higher now, around just like a little 30-second trailer for a book. And it just blew us away. It's a hybrid campaign type that includes video along with traditional text and imagery. And it's really this broad spectrum campaign type from a reach perspective that allows for the campaign to spread your message far and wide. In the wrong hands, of course, that can result in a lot of waste or a lot of, leads outside of maybe your focus areas. In the right hands, with a little bit of learning and a lot of trial and error, we were able to increase our our net new leads by like 157% in the enterprise space, in that billion plus space. And as time went on, we were able to cut our CPA by 54%. So it was super powerful. And it ended up getting us featured on Think with Google, which is a pretty cool feat. And we had a lot of fun with it. And we're still, at my new company and at my former, tinkering and finding new ways to kind of unleash the power of this campaign type. It's really interesting to see on round 2 here, a book asset at my new company already past the 1 million view point on YouTube, which is pretty cool.
So it's primarily a video-based.
It's video with traditional, images and text, but the video is deployed as kind of the new interesting facet of the campaign.
And someone would see the video on YouTube when they're searching for something. Is that
right? That's right.
And the text and the image, is it on search or is it more on display, Lauren?
So it's a broad spectrum tool, and it's search and display.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that you can combine it with offline conversion imports, and you can continue to optimize it. So it's got the ability to really do some sophisticated learning. I think, and it's been really transformative. But it's not for everybody. I've seen people try and wield it, and it's like this giant machine gun in the hands of, somebody that maybe has never fired a BB gun. It's a powerful tool.
And do you think it's best to use from a more of a brand awareness, top of the funnel type activity versus direct response, like booking a demo or like attending an event, downloading a content or something like that?
It's been successful for me across a few different types of conversion types, right? So I think it depends on how you produce the video asset, to be honest with you, right? Understood. So it's I've seen video produced, and when we talk about keeping things short form, some people are like, oh, it's only 5 minutes. And I'm like, no, by short form, I mean more like 15 to 30 seconds. And it'll automate, Google will automate the targeting and the delivery of the campaign based on a lot of the information that you provide. So it's almost kind of as good, you'll get out of it what you put into it, as far as what you want the program to learn and to understand, and those placements with dynamic ad formats and the audiences that you define are really open-ended and can extend your reach almost too far. Like for the event that I was talking about with the 13,000, when we opened up globally and we allowed for non-traditional logos and titles outside the enterprise, we were seeing $2 and $3 registrations.
Insane.
Which was awesome. But I mean, they were outside of regions where we didn't have sales teams.
Yeah.
And maybe these were people trying to, a lot of these were people seeking out educational opportunities, which is awesome though. That's so good for the brand. That's so good for just people, for the betterment of humanity in general. And it was crazy after, the events, we would start the events by welcoming everyone from around the globe, and we would see, hello from Sri Lanka, hello from Bangladesh, hello from, Albuquerque. And it was just so fun and cool to see the audience and the mix of people that we would attract with our content. But even more fascinating was, at the end of the day, we would get emails or comments in the Q&A around asking for certificates for education.
That's incredible. Yeah.
It's a webinar. Like, the content was meant to sell, educate also, but the fact that the value resonated so well, and that it contributed to the learning of our participants. I think at the heart of the matter, it wasn't so much the tactics, it wasn't so much the crafty ways we got people to register. It was the content itself. Exactly. It was. And we spent so much time pre-recording and curating and loving on those decks, those speakers, some of it just was tapping into my years as a little league manager, right? It was getting people to see the best version of themselves that they can present on camera, and making non-traditional kind of public speaker opportunities for people that maybe were kind of shy or hesitant to go ahead and celebrate their successes, to lift up somebody that had spent an awful lot of time knee deep in code, but had built something beautiful, to give them, maybe that second or third dry run, or to wait until their internet resolved, or to wait until their demo didn't time out, and to really get that best version of themselves that they had to offer that maybe they didn't even know was there. It was a lot more than just showing up with whomever we could kind of find and hitting record, or hitting the on 24 button, or the go to button, and broadcasting. It was really about curating value and the message. Once we were able, behind a logo that people found to deliver value over the years, that they found contributed to their professional success and the success of their company, to combine that secret sauce of how the best in class in different industries and verticals were using the software and technology to change the world. It was the change the world piece.
And Neo4j is definitely blessed with that, right? With such a big open source community and working with such phenomenal companies doing so much for the greater good of humanity. So that's great. I mean, this is fascinating, Lauren. I really appreciate you sharing these insights. So high level then, Lauren, if you had to say 3 things, what contributed to the success of getting 40,000 net new leads for this virtual event seminar in 2020, when you guys just had to pivot and go digital, what would be those 3 things that you think resulted in this massive success?
Cool. Yeah, I think first and foremost, it was hard work. If we looked at it with low standards and we're just looking to complete a task that was assigned to us as a team, we could have easily settled for a couple hundred registrants, called our job done, passed those leads along, and said, okay, we checked the boxes for satisfactory. But at the end of the day, what really happened was a group of people leaning together against a challenge that they couldn't even have fathomed a year before, to protect each other, to protect a company, to protect our clients, to protect our prospects against uncertainty. We leaned into a problem with hard work and found ways to do things different, to do things smarter, to continually make things better. And after the first event was successful, we didn't just stop and say, that was good, we'll have more of the same, please. We said, that was good. How do we make it great? How do we take the hard work that we didn't even think we were capable of and double down on it? What could contribute more value? Should we have an animation at the beginning? Should we have an introductory kind of 2 minutes like you would have at a trade show, where the lights go down and turn into the logo colors and the hype music comes up and everybody gets goosebumps? Could we do that?
Yeah.
Sure. Is that going to be extra work? Is that going to be super hard?
The production.
Is it still worth it? Do it. And then the hard work, translates and trickles down all the way to our vendors, to our partners, to our contractors, inspiring everybody to do all the hard work that it takes to grow something from nothing. You have to lead by example, and you have to, your enthusiasm has to be contagious, right? So leaning into just, I guess, more so than hard work and enthusiasm, I guess it's just passion. Like, we were just super passionate about making it the best it could be. Yep. And, I think innovation will be an important secondary component here. We needed to find ways in a competitive market, super competitive space, to be one step ahead of our competition. And the only way to do that was with innovation. And as a marketer, digital marketer especially, I mean, I'm flooded with people that want to tell me about how their tech is going to change my life.
Yeah.
And in reality, that innovation, that tech is just, it's nothing without the people that can create
100%.
a strategic vision. You know what I mean? It's you have to know what the edge is innovation wise. You need to be in a relationship with your vendors, with your partners, with your tech stack, to know when there's an opportunity to really get that competitive edge and be smart and jump on it. And then to know when you're just a really overpaid QA tester that's like looking and kicking tires and looking for bugs in something that isn't going to really be impactful. So I guess smart innovation, right? Not just grabbing new feature functionality and tinkering, but really kind of curating and shopping and actively listening for those key points where you can use technology to get in front of the herd. And I think third and most importantly, it's celebrating people, right? Celebrating our customer testimonial at NASA, celebrating their story, truly celebrate, not saying, oh, you know, we're going to let our customer spokesperson speak for 5 minutes and then strap on a deck from sales with 50 slides that is the elevator pitch for deeper in the funnel that doesn't even belong here, where we're talking about obtuse feature functionality. Let the customer be the star, you know, let their story inspire other people powerfully. So the next session you do feature somebody that was inspired by the session you just recorded, but like really, really celebrating the external customers, but then also celebrating your team, right? Yeah. Because that hard work, that first tenant, you know, burnout was a real thing in 2020. You know, I mean, there were thankless hours spent rebroadcasting connections in the wee hours of the night into the wee hours, or the late hours of the night into the wee hours of the morning, rebroadcasting the content for an audience on the other side of the world. And you know, those responsibilities would have been executed with or without celebrating the people in the team that made them happen, or the partners at our agencies, or at our, you know, at our other satellite offices around the globe. But at the end of the day, you inspire your own team by celebrating the people that put in those extra layers of care or passion, and it makes other people feel motivated too. So I think, you know, we just did a real good job of celebrating our customers to our prospects, and celebrating our team to the company.
Amazing. Cool. Thank you so much, Lauren. Thanks a lot for sharing your insights. This is phenomenal. I learned quite a few new things. I need to check out Google Performance Max.
It's pretty cool.
You bet. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Have a great day. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
See you.